So how's your yoga doing?
Huh?
It's a closed system.
Is it?
It's completely closed. The only out is open and more.
Right.
But that's actually part of it too.
Right.
But, I mean, you reduce everything to one thing.
Is there a reduction involved?
Well, it's like a way to, I guess, limit your mind to deciphering content and just seeing that it's all one thing.
Uh-huh. Is it?
So, well, it's a way of making it all the same thing, where everything is the same.
You're making it, so you're changing it from something into something else?
Well, it's a way of seeing everything from the same definition, what it is. So no matter what...
So it's a matter of definitions?
It's a matter of having everything be... It's a closed system, so that there's nothing outside that system.
As opposed to what?
Well, it's a way of seeing reality. I mean, you could call it, it's all reality.
And how's that going for you?
Well, to see it as the yoga of radiant presence turns it into a concept.
Right.
And actually, I think what you're aiming at is to have it be what it is at the time.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, the simplest way to put this yoga is to not engage in any interpretation on any level. And to see that any interpretation is artificial, hypothetical, and partial. So, which is the reason for not engaging in interpretations is they're not true. They're just fantasies. And when you're with the actuality of your experience, outside of any interpretation, then you can be with it as it is, so to speak. Not that there's any you or any with or any it.
It seems to be a momentary thing. It's a way of seeing everything as that, but then the mind comes in. Then there's the seduction of what happens with some interpretation that just arises on an unconscious level or a subliminal level or a subtle level, and then suddenly you're off and running. So I guess it's a matter of just keep doing that over and over and over.
Here, I have something that I want to here. So since the retreat, I've noticed two things. And the first thing is that my emotions have just gone really berserk and very strong and very much more noticeable.
Good.
And then the second thing is that I have finally seen, I've gotten the clarity between this and the fantasy.
Oh, excellent.
And so I got it, but it just keeps coming and going, and it's very sometimes disturbing because I see it and it goes away, I see it and it goes away, and I feel it and it goes away, and it's like, that's how it's going now. But I notice that everything is much more stronger in terms of the emotional body.
Yeah. Well, that's very good. Yeah. That's very good. It means your energy is being freed up. And at first that can seem to be a problem if your emotions are really wild or what have you. But that will tend to stabilize and settle itself down. But it's much better to have it be, unbound and honest and real, and then it finds its own level, than to be contained and repressed. Mm-hmm. So that's wonderful. I mean, that's a very good sign. Yeah. And then, just when you find yourself in noticing, that's great. And when you find yourself losing noticing, don't cling to it. Just let it go, and drift off into wherever you go. And sooner or later, you'll find yourself in noticing again. And then really just be with that. Really appreciate it is a good way to put it. Don't try to cling to it or sort it out. Just appreciate it, feel it. Let it communicate to you. Let it wash through you, however you want to put it. Yeah. And that will be cumulative. And every time that happens, it will build up, and you'll be able to do it more and deeper the next time, and so on. And that's the very nature. That's the very path of this yoga. And then that will transform your entire orientation to your life, to your being. Just intrinsically, just spontaneously, without having to do anything. It's both very good.
Yeah. Yeah, and the other thing is there's times that I remember that I'm not doing this, and it's very clear I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
And other times I get more invested, and then I remember that I'm not doing it, and so it's just like it's really kind of a roller coaster ride sometimes. Well, it has been.
Yeah. But that's okay. Just again, when you're not noticing, just let go. Don't worry about it. Don't try to cling to noticing. Don't try to. Just let it go. Let it breathe. Let it. Let it. Like a pet or something. You let it come to you, and then let it run away, and then let it come to you, and let it run away. And when it's with you, enjoy it, but don't try and hold it, because then it'll just try and run away harder.
At the retreat, Peter, the no meditation sessions were really great. Mm-hmm. Just to have the immersion in the experience of being present with other people in a sort of sitting way. Mm-hmm. And I think that's probably, the thing that I took the most benefit from in terms of bringing that back, and then just being able to be present, even though, things don't always seem
Yeah.
intellectually to be going well or whatever.
Oh yeah.
To realize that there's nothing else to do. There's just
Yeah. Yeah, all of those tricks are tricks you can do yourself. You know, you don't need to be in a meditation. You don't need to have me or somebody talking to you and telling you to do things. Just remember, just here I am. Here this is. Nothing special to do. You don't need to be with it this way or that way. Just let it flow freely as it does. Let it be open. Let it be whatever it is, and you can't tell what it is. And just be in this actuality.
There is something though about having the reflection of that in other people that is helpful for me, because when I notice that when I'm home alone and I do that, it's much easier for me to just go into the normal mutant pathways
Right. Yeah.
that are sort of, and then sometimes when I come out of that and I catch sight of what's actually going on, I see that in fact it is a very big, open, expansive kind of experience that.
And that normalcy is it too. When you're lost in your stuff and lost in your normalcy, that's it too. That's just what it can do. And ultimately, that's your biggest challenge. That's your path is not what it's like on a retreat or in a meditation or in a satsang or something. It's really just you in your life. With no training wheels, no nets, no safety nets, no directions, no instructions, no map. Just like, well, here I am, like always. And that's really what this is all about.
I think too that I notice I'm seeing things more clearly, in the sense that apprehending like what something is, and it's not like an intellectual thing, but it's more of an energetic. It's like things seem more to reach toward me, or there is a sense of not seeing what things are, but seeing what they're not. In terms of making decisions or being more kind of pinpointed about wanting to do certain things or not.
Yeah, and that's the nature of this. It just spontaneously develops on its own, and you'll gradually notice over time. Wow, things are really kind of shifting. Things are, opening up in an interesting way.
Yeah.
And it's not as a result of doing anything or not doing anything. It's just by being with this in this way from time to time. That just is spontaneously happens. I mean, that's the wonderful thing, about the radiance, about reality, is that it teaches itself, it shows itself, it does all the work. So, all you need to do is just touch it every now and then, just notice it, just like, wow. And that's enough, and it does everything else for you with no effort and automatically and behind the scenes and without a lot of hoopla or.
Yeah, I think that I'm more aware of that now, in terms of me not having to do much.
Yeah.
Rather than micromanaging everything. It's better to do nothing than to do something. It's interesting because I've been working on this jigsaw puzzle, and then it's interesting because it's sort of like you begin to see everything like as a jigsaw puzzle, and when you're doing that, you don't know what the pieces are until they're actually put into the picture.
Right.
Where you're looking at trying to find where is that person, or where is this color, or whatever. It's not until things are put into place that they actually become clear what they are.
The energy to me seems to be larger than it being radiant presence. Identifying it as radiant presence.
No. There's no identification. The energy is transcendental. It's inconceivably vast. It's bigger than big. And radiant presence is just a trick. It's a way of being. When I say radiant presence, it's a way of being with actuality, with the actual presence of your experience and the actual seeming content of your experience, nakedly and directly, not skipping over this, what's present, to something else, but just whatever is actually present, just as it is your point of interface with this vast, transcendent nature.
That seems great for a ongoing situation with what is happening. But when deep energies arise, they seem to go beyond that, so that
Beyond what?
it just being part of the radiance. It seems that they have to be identified to transmute them.
Transmute what? I'm sorry, you lost me.
What the energy. They have to be identified. They have to be.
So what has to be identified? So I'm not following. There's some deep energies that have to be identified. In what?
As to what they are, what they're arising from. What is? I know.
Are there different places that things arise from?
They seem to arise from situations and causes.
Right. And what do causes and situations arise from?
The same place everything does, but
Yeah.
when they do, they seem to have a power of their own that will seethe and surge until they are identified as to
Identified as what? Identified in what way?
as some kind of a causal.
And you think identifying as a causal situation solves them? What I would say is exactly the opposite. Identify what they're made of, and that's what's going to solve them. And then when you identify what they're made of, you'll find they're made of what I call radiant presence, which is just reality itself.
Well, that's just what I was saying, that I find that very difficult to do. They seem to see it as radiant energy doesn't seem to be the same as everything else.
So what's not the same as what? Let me get this clear. Try to get this clear. So what? There's something and here's something else. And what's not the same as what?
Well, it's all energy.
Right. It's all energy. Okay. Good.
But then, when powerful energies arise,
Right.
they seem to exist beyond what is taken to be radiant presence.
Beyond. What are they made of? That's what are they made of? They're made of energy. The energy is radiant presence. I mean, radiant presence is not a thing.
I know. I mean, I try to look at it like that. I try to see it as that, and yet...
Well, no, don't try to see it as anything. Just see what it is.
I see it as energy.
Good. It's energy. That's the radiant presence.
I think maybe how it's seen, if there's a resistance to it...
But what's the resistance? Where's it coming from? What's doing it?
It seems to go part and parcel with it. Pleasurable energy has a sense of acceptance that comes with it. There's an openness and a blooming of that energy.
Right.
Negative energy seems to have a rejected quality
Right.
to it,
Right. Yeah.
which also holds it in place.
Mm-hmm.
And in my experience, will be held there until it's identified. So,
When identified in what sense?
what caused it?
What caused it, and then what do you do about what caused it?
When you see what the actual cause is, it just disperses. It just disappears. It's just
And what's the actual cause of any energy?
well, if you take it on an abstract level.
No, I'm not talking about abstract. I'm talking about extremely concrete. Let's say I'm neurotic because of the way I was raised in my childhood. Okay, what caused my childhood?
Well, I'm talking about specific situations.
Okay, specific situation. Let's say I'm pissed off because someone yelled at me yesterday. What caused them to yell at me yesterday? Or you can give me an example if you want.
Well, I mean,
I don't know if that's the kind of category you're thinking of or something else.
it almost doesn't make any difference what it is.
Right.
It is that something does cause an energy to
Yes.
arise.
Yes. But this is the point. You're playing one thing against another. You're playing one thing against itself. What causes the peaceful, nice, harmonious energies is exactly the same thing that causes the difficult, clingy, neurotic, identified, causal energies. And it's all what? This system. It's not like there's one system causing good things and another system causing difficult things. And this is exactly the point. When you see the system, you stop identifying with this part versus that part. You start playing the nice stuff off against the difficult stuff, because it's all of the same quality. If you're watching a movie, in the nice part where the hero's kissing the girl and everything's lovey-dovey, it's fine. But then when the Nazis come in and start shooting everybody, that's the same light on the same screen. It's not like something different started happening. They turned off the movie and turned on some other machine and caused something else to start happening. So when you're noticing and everything's bliss and everything's wholeness and everything's openness, that's this. And when you're all torqued up and neurotic and obsessed about things or whatever, that's this. So what's interesting thing is, what is this? Not what is this aspect of what it does and that aspect of what it does, because ultimately each of these things is done by this. It's done by the same thing. And if you want to see, I agree with you. You've got to see what does it. When you say identify, see what does it. See what does it. This. The negative stuff is being done by this. The resistance is being done by this. All of these things are being upwellings of energy that are ultimately transcendental, ultimately from nowhere, made of nothing, and yet absolutely actual. I mean, I agree with you, but take it all the way. Yeah, where does it really come from? What's causing it?
Whatever it is.
Right, whatever it is.
That's
enough.
And what is it? What is the whatever it is?
Reality.
Yeah, reality. So reality plays nice, reality plays shitty. Isn't that interesting? But when it's plays shitty, it's not a lesser quality or a lesser version of reality. It's exactly as much reality. This stuff is not about, goodness or success or clarity. This is about actuality. And actuality comes in all flavors. But actuality as it is liberated and liberating, regardless of the fact that it comes in all of these flavors, some of which are rather unpleasant.
But how's that liberating? I mean,
Because of what it is. It's liberating because it's liberating in the same sense that a dream is liberating. A dream's a good example. In a dream you can dream of anything. You can dream the most horrible, disgusting, painful situations. And what liberates it is not solving it within the dream. What liberates it is seeing there's just a dream. And then you see, oh, there's nothing there that is entrapping. There's nothing there. It's just it's a hypothetical scenario that is nothing. It's baseless. It's not. It has no effect. It's not entrapping anything. It has no residue. It has no repercussion.
so that's great for a dream.
That's right. That's great for a dream. So what's going on here?
I have a dream.
Yeah. So what's going on here? So how do things appear in a dream? The consciousness just whatever, they just appear, right? We can't say how it happens. It just happens in consciousness. How do things appear here? How is this situation appearing? How am I appearing? How is this room appearing? How are these people appearing?
Just keep rolling on.
Is it rolling on? I mean, it's here. It's here instantly. It wasn't here. What you're seeing wasn't here ever before, and as soon as it's here, it's not here again. It's changed into something else. What's doing that? What's doing that? Where is it happening? Where is this happening?
So just to see it as happening in the moment.
Well, see what it is as profoundly as you can. Not as an effort of logic or analysis, but by being with your experience directly outside the context of interpretation. That happens automatically. The only thing that blocks seeing what this is interpretation, which means thinking we know what it is. Thinking we know what anything is. Even thinking that this is experience is too much interpretation. Let alone thinking that there's an experiencer and something experienced is too much interpretation.